Welcome into another episode of the Fat Guy Podcast. I am the fat guy. Most people call me Brett Mason. I'm not a doctor. I don't have any formal medical training, but I have lost over 120 pounds. This comes after being overweight my entire life since I was 5, 6-ish when it first started. There's really never been a year up until recently where my weight didn't increase over the year before. And to the point that I wasn't just overweight, I was morbidly obese. I started at 407 pounds. My last weigh-in was at 284 pounds. And I cracked the code for weight loss. And while I'm not 100% sure that one thing will work for every person, I know that what I've learned will work for nearly every single person because everything is there. So, couple of house cleaning things before we jump right into getting you locked in for your weight loss journey. It's time to change your life. And knowledge is one thing. You also need passion. You need inspiration. You need motivation. And so we're going to tackle one of those aspects of weight loss today, which is a little different than what we normally talk about in these podcasts. So if you're just finding the podcast for the first time, maybe you're one of those people, many people that message me and go, I don't even know what a podcast is. I don't understand it. Look, here's the easiest way to get updated on everything that I know and learn and everything that I share to help you lose weight. Download an app that's called Spreaker, Spreaker, Spreaker. That's the company that hosts my podcast. They have a free app. You can download it. You can sign up for an account, which I highly recommend, but that's not required. Search for Fat Guy Podcast on there. Favorite it, follow it, get updated, and easily find our podcast when new episodes come out, right on your phone or your tablet or whatever, no matter what kind of phone or tablet you have. The other thing that I would say is that you should follow us on social media for sure. No matter what social media platform you like, I'm there. Fat Guy Podcast is the username. I highly recommend Snapchat because I update my meals and what I eat and when I eat. So you kind of get to follow me along during the day. Secondarily to that, I would say Facebook and Instagram are my next two favorites and recommendations. Twitter being last. Add me on all of them. Cover all the bases. Why don't you? Fat Guy Podcast. So I'm not a doctor. You should consult a doctor before you begin any kind of a weight loss program. My only stipulation to that is if your current doctor doesn't understand a ketogenic diet, doesn't understand the intricacies of it, I'd probably recommend finding another doctor. Nevertheless, your doctor is your choice. Just consult with a doctor. I'm not a doctor. So this podcast is based around one of the first few things I hear anybody say when they contact me asking me to help them lose weight. And it goes something like this. Now, the item changes, but it's usually one of a few items, but it changes from person to person, but the concept is always the same. So we're going to talk about I can't versus I don't. And I want you to clarify it in your mind because just like I believe in previous podcasts where I've really tried to get into the science of a ketogenic diet, I believe if you understand why it works, and I believe that you become sold 100% on that it will work, I believe you'll do it. Like most diets out there, you're not sure why they work or if they work. If it's just something somebody came up with, And so the least little snag or snafu, you'll quit it. But I believe if you know something works and why it works and you understand and believe the science behind it, I believe you're much more likely to dive in 100% and succeed. So I think the motivation and psychological and all that aspects, the same is true as well. So this concept of I can't versus I don't is big. And hopefully today the way I'm going to talk about it today will reveal to you just how big it is. Now I've talked about in previous episodes how you're a sugar addict. You're addicted to sugar whether you know you're addicted to it or not. And I've also talked about how sugar isn't a food. It's a drug. It's not a food. It has no properties of food. Other than supplying energy to your body, it's not a food. And we can go find anything to supply. You could go eat your door. You could cut off a chunk of your door at your house and eat it, and it would provide some energy to your body. Okay? Just because something provides energy doesn't make it a food. So I've done previous podcasts about that. I'm not going to dive into that too much, but I think it's important to understand that sugar is a drug. The only sugars that aren't drugs are sugars that naturally occur in vegetables that are wrapped up, bound up in a fiber matrix that's very difficult for your body to extract, which causes a slow, steady release in your bloodstream, which doesn't spike insulin and doesn't cause insulin resistance over time, so you don't get metabolic syndrome, so you don't get prediabetes, you don't get diabetes, et cetera, you don't get fat, you don't get overweight. One of the first things that happen when people contact me to ask me questions or seeking advice or help to get started losing weight on a ketogenic diet, I will hear something like this. Wow, so I can't have bread anymore? Dang, I can't drink Coca-Cola anymore? Oh no, I can't eat spaghetti anymore? And it's become normalized in our society that it's okay to be addicted to food, and you laugh it off as, I really love this. Well, sugar's a drug and you're addicted to it. I want you to take just a second and take those questions that you may be thinking about having to give up bread, give up pasta, give up Coke, give up sweet tea, give up fruits. I want you to think about that just a second and view it through a different prism. And think about a person that's addicted to crack or a person that's addicted to cocaine, but they're sick of it. They know that it's made them sick. They know that it's killing them slowly from the inside out. It has affected all these areas of their life, and they finally want to get better. And they come to you for help, and you say, look, step number one is you've got to stop snorting cocaine. And imagine your response to them if they replied back to you, oh man, I got to quit snorting cocaine? I don't think I can do that. Your reply back to them would be, clearly you're not ready to get better yet. You're addicted to a substance. You haven't accepted that you're addicted to it. And you're unwilling to give it up, at which point there's just really no way that I can help you with your cocaine addiction or your crack addiction or your heroin addiction. That's the same thing is reversed when somebody wants me to help them lose weight, but they tell me that they can't give up what they're addicted to. They can't give up what's making them fat. They can't give up what's caused insulin resistance. They can't give up what's called metabolic damage. They can't give up what's giving them prediabetes. They can't give up what's giving them diabetes. They can't give up what's killing them. So once you understand that it is sugar that's made you fat, it is sugar that's causing all these problems, and it is sugar that is surely killing you, the decision that you make about eating it is much more powerful if you will come at it from a standpoint as, when I start this and I become ketogenic, it's not about I can't eat bread anymore. It will become I don't eat bread. I don't eat bread. Somebody offers you some bread. Go, I'm sorry, I don't eat bread, but thanks. Somebody says, hey, we're having a spaghetti dinner. I'd like to bring you. And you say, I'm sorry, I don't eat spaghetti. I don't eat it. Thanks. Don't tell them I can't eat it. Sure, you can eat it. You can eat it and stay fat. Same thing with a cocaine addict. Sure, they can keep doing the cocaine and they can stay addicted. You can always do whatever you want to do. It's not about whether I can or whether I can't. It's about whether I do or whether I don't. Okay? I don't. That's just for me. Now, granted, I had pecan pie on Thanksgiving, okay? When I went to Biloxi after my mom died, I had way more cheesecake than any human should probably eat. I'd say those are the 2 times that I've deviated from the plan since January, so it's not a lot. But that's not to say you don't ever in a million years deviate from the plan on certain occasions. But it does mean, as a general rule, I don't eat pecan pie anymore. I don't eat sugar anymore. I don't eat bread anymore. Okay? I don't eat ice cream. I don't drink Coke. I don't do those things. I don't do them. Why? Because first of all, I'm addicted to them. Second of all, they have ruined my body from the inside out. They've caused metabolic syndrome, insulin resistance, prediabetes. They caused me to be fat my whole life. They caused me to be miserable. They caused me to live less of a life than what I should have lived. They caused me to experience less than what I should have experienced. They caused me to enjoy life, and I have enjoyed life, but they caused me to enjoy it on a level less than what I could have enjoyed it at. They caused me to be a person who avoided situations because of my weight that I shouldn't have to avoid. I lived a life less fulfilled. Was eating bread really worth that? When you talk to the cocaine addict and it's caused them to lose their job and it's caused them to lose their family, or you talk to the heroin addict and it's caused them to lose their job, lose their wife, lose their kids, lose their house. Sure, the heroin makes you feel good. Sure, you enjoy it. But was it worth all the damage that came along with it? And so at some point you choose to be a person who says, you know what, I don't do that anymore. I've reached a stage in my life to where I don't do that anymore. I don't eat biscuits anymore. You know, I don't drink tea that has a half a cup or a cup of sugar in it. I don't do that anymore. I don't drink 6 Cokes a day. I don't ever drink Coke, period. It's not I can't. It's not that I can't. Oh, I can't have Coke ever again? Sure you can. You can have as much Coke as you want until you die. But how about I don't drink Coke anymore? It's such a powerful thing. Nobody's taking any of that away from you. Nobody's depriving you of anything. You're making a decision. You've taken the power of your own situation and placed it in your own hands, and you've taken accountability for it. I'm a big believer in accountability. When I first started talking about my weight loss journey, I would talk about how much weight I'd lost, but I'd never say what my starting weight was because it was so horrible. Like just writing the words out on a Facebook post or whatever, 407 pounds was something I was like, holy crap. Like people couldn't look at me and say that I weighed 400 plus pounds, you know? But there's always that thing. You know, I was talking to one of my exes is my best friend, one of my best friends. I was talking to her the other day because we were trying to figure out, I was trying to remember how long it's been since I weighed 284 pounds. And you actually lie to yourself and others so much, you kind of forget along the way. But I do know that in 2001 when I met her, I know what I weighed because I remember what I told her I weighed. Okay? So I told her I weighed 290 at that time. I remember it very clearly. The discussion came up about weight or whatever. And I told her I weighed 290. But I really weighed 320. So I know for a fact that I weigh less now than I did in 2001 because I weighed 320 then. These misrepresentations and these ways that we avoid accountability. Look, I'm not just talking to you. It's me. Trust me, it's me as much as it. That's the way I can talk about it because it's me first. I lived it, experienced it, whatever. So it's never about you. It's about me. But I think what is me extends to you, and it's about accountability. I'm accountable for my actions. I'm accountable for drinking Coke. I don't have to drink Coke. Humans survived on this planet for millions of years without ever drinking a Coke. That's only something we've done in the last 100 years or less. Okay? We didn't have refined flour to make bread out of, you know? We didn't have any of this stuff. There was no biscuits. This is all stuff that's happened in the last 100 years or whatever. So, no, you don't have to have it. You don't have, sure it's good. Absolutely it's good. Crack cocaine is good. Black tar heroin makes you feel amazing. But you don't have to have it. But I think accountability is the first step. It's accountability. I'm an addict. And the only way I'll lose weight is to accept that I'm addicted to sugar and that sugar is a drug. And then I have to take accountability the same way I would expect a person who's strung out on heroin or crack, and it's got to the point they're stealing from their family and stealing from their neighbor. You would come down on them so hard. You're like, look, you need help. This is to the point that it's ruining your life and your family's life. You are letting crack cocaine ruin your life to the point you're now stealing from your mom. Let's take accountability and reverse that backwards. You've become so addicted to Coca-Cola that you've allowed it to ruin your life and cause you to be diabetic or pre-diabetic or have insulin resistance or be 50 pounds overweight or be 100 pounds overweight, thereby reducing your life by 10, 15, 20 years by ensuring that you'll probably have to have a toe or a foot amputated one day, assuring that you're going to die from heart disease because all the damage that insulin and elevated blood sugars causes to the endothelial lining of your blood vessels in the heart. You know, knowing that all this damage that it causes to your cells, which is a precursor and what really appears to be a cause of cancer now. Not the only cause, but a huge major cause. And now we're learning about type 3 diabetes, where there's insulin resistance, not throughout your body, but in your brain. So your brain can't get glucose right. And so we're having Alzheimer's, type 3 diabetes. We're getting all of this because we're not accountable to the fact that we're addicted to a drug. We're addicted to sugar, which has no nutritional benefit. It only has a taste benefit and an addiction benefit. When you look at the brains of somebody who just ate a teaspoon of sugar and compare it to somebody that just shot up with heroin, the exact same reward, pleasure, addiction centers in the brain light up like a Christmas tree on an MRI. As a matter of fact, sugar does it more intensely. And then when you consider the fact that this drug sugar allows you to function normally throughout your day, as long as you're healthy, until it finally causes you to have your leg amputated from diabetes. But up until that happens, unlike heroin or crack, which pretty quickly shuts you down to where you can't function in society, you can still function in society. Now, you can barely squeeze through the turnstile, and the chairs at the doctor's office don't fit your fat butt anymore because you're so huge. So it does affect your body. It does affect your life to a certain extent, but you can pretty much still power through life. You get where you can't sit at the booth at the restaurant anymore and you have to request a table. I'm not saying that because you're horrible. I'm saying these things because that's the life I lived. I remember very clearly the first time I ever decided that I would have to, from now on, request a table rather than a booth. And so that's the first thing out of my mouth. When the person at the restaurant says, how many? I'll say, whatever the number is, 2 of us, we'd like a table, please. Because squeezing my fat ass into a booth became very difficult. And they're even harder to get out of than they are to get into. And you just look stupid, and it's embarrassing. It's not that you can't get in and out of them. But it is such a chore and an effort. I mean, you literally feel like everybody in the restaurant is looking at you, trying to squeeze your stupid, lifelong, fat, overweight self in and out of a booth. So you can drink a Coke? So you can have a biscuit? So you can eat spaghetti? Have ice cream? Pecan pie? French fries? Come on. So it's accountability. And so it's not I can't eat French fries anymore. I don't eat French fries anymore. How have I ever survived? Well, I first accepted I couldn't eat French fries anymore. That was step number 1. And then step number 2 was understanding that there would be life after that, and I could probably find a substitute. And before long, I would enjoy the substitute just as much as I enjoy fries, because enjoying fries is not something you were born doing. You weren't born wanting fries with a cheeseburger. That's something you learned. You learned it because your parents started feeding you fries with your cheeseburger. And over time, that's just what it became, fries and cheeseburgers. That wasn't something that was in your DNA and you were born wanting fries with your cheeseburgers. That was a taste that you acquired. Your mom fed it to you at some point. She took you to a restaurant at some point. You got fed it at school. And it just became that. You weren't born eating fries. You weren't 1 year old craving fries and a cheeseburger. It was a learned behavior. My favorite food was cheeseburger and fries. I lived on it. I used to eat at McDonald's for every meal. There was a 3-year stretch where I literally ate a double quarter pounder with cheese and french fries every single day of my life for lunch and dinner. People go, God, you didn't ever get tired of a double quarter pounder with french fries? I never did. It was to the point that at the company Christmas parties, when I worked at the radio station, whoever drew my name for the Santa thing, you know what they bought me? They always bought me McDonald's gift certificates. Because when I would come into the work in the afternoon at 5 o'clock, 5:30, I would come in with a bag full of double quarter pounders and french fries that I stopped at McDonald's and picked up on my way in, and that was my dinner before I went on the air. Every day, without fail, every day for years and years. But I wasn't born eating that. So what do I do now? Well, I still eat cheeseburgers, but I don't eat them with a bun. They're actually better. That's the funny thing about it, is that a cheeseburger is actually better without the bun. You get all the flavor of the condiments. You get the onion coming through. You get the cheese flavor coming through. Especially if it's a grilled patty, man, that grilled flavor of that patty comes through even stronger than it ever did. And you don't have the bun soaking up all the flavors. You get the full flavor of the cheeseburger without the unnecessary bun. It really does. People don't believe it, but it really does taste better. And I don't have fries anymore. The first thing I went to was pork skins. Golden Flake pork skins typically have 1 to 2 carbs per serving. But then I found other brands of pork skins that have 0 carbs per serving. And so the highest carb thing I used to eat, period, and it's not the burger, by the way, it's the fries. You know, the fries are something like 48, 50 carbs or something, which is 2.5 times the total amount of carbs I eat for an entire day now. I went from just the fries being, 48 carbs or whatever to 0 carbs with my side. And I love the pork. I love the barbecue pork skins. I love the vinegar and salt pork skins. And as I've progressed in this journey, I discovered Quest protein chips. You get barbecue flavor. You get sour cream and onion. You get sour cream and cheddar and sour cream flavored. And so it's a chip, but it has like a 2 to 3 net carbs per bag for an entire bag of them. So I traded in 50 carbs for 3 carbs. And sure, the first few times I ate a burger with no bun and pork skins, it wasn't the same. But I've done it so many times now, that is a burger to me. Just like the McDonald's double quarter pounder with cheese with fries used to be the burger to me, that used to be a burger. That's what my brain comprehended when I thought burger. Now when I think burger, it's a burger with no bun and it's pork skins. Or it's a burger with no bun and it's, the Quest protein chips. Or it's a burger, no bun, and a pickle. Which is very crispy and delicious. So you acquired a taste for burger and fries. You acquired a taste for the bun. You weren't born with that. I wasn't born with that. So what did it boil down to? It boiled down to not I can't, but it boiled down to I don't. I don't eat the bun anymore. I don't eat the fries anymore. Not I can't eat them. Sure, I can eat them, and I can stay fat as hell. I can eat them and weigh 407 pounds. I've proven I can do that. This notion that you're going to be able to lose weight but not change anything is so crazy to me. And look, and I'm not calling you crazy because I used to feel the same way. I'm going to do a podcast at some point about Plexus. I started out on Plexus, and I've thought a lot about what Plexus did. Plexus did help me, but now I've never been able, looking back on that time, and by no means was the answer, because it was temporary and it was short-lived. But it did get me jump-started, and it did let me see the light enough at the end of the tunnel that I became super determined to find the answer on my own, which led me on my path to health and nutrition, which led me to veganism, raw veganism, to keto. I mean, it's just been a journey, and the more I've learned, the better I've got at it. But and I do 100% plan on doing a podcast about Plexus. But look, I lost some weight with Plexus, but I've never been able to look back on it and determine how much of that was placebo and how much of it was that product doing something for me. I do believe it did a little something for me, When I look back on it, I honestly did a lot of the work. That's when I started using MyFitnessPal. That's when I came up with how many calories I should eat in a day. And I logged what I ate. And I remember very clearly, as a matter of fact, I shot videos about this way back then. This is in 2013. And I would shoot a video at McDonald's where I would get a knife at the counter with my burger, and I would cut 25% of the burger out and throw it in the trash before I started eating. And that was my thing then. You can still eat the burger, just eat 75% of it. And then take half your pack of fries and take half of them and throw them away. So I was restricting my calories, and I was doing it I was taking measures to do it. And so how much of that was just Plexus emboldening me to take control of my life? And how much of it was Plexus doing something internally? And honestly, I believe it was probably 75-80% just me. And I'll give Plexus 20%. And of that 20%, I don't know how much of that was placebo and how much of it was it actually doing something chemically inside me. Of the 20% that Plexus helped, I'm going to say probably half of that was probably just placebo. So that leaves you with a 10% help from Plexus. And if you can do something 90%, you can do something 100%. And the big kicker on top of all that was that I hadn't fixed the problem. I was still eating all the carbs. So I was still feeding the insulin resistance, driving myself closer and closer to diabetes until I was eventually told by my doctor in 2016 that you're a pre-diabetic now. Congratulations. You're a step away from full-blown diabetes. So can I eat the double quarter pounder with cheese with the Coke? Sure, I can, but I don't. I don't eat it. You got to change the way you think. It's not something you can't do. It's got to be something you don't do. If you're always looking at it as something I can't eat, if you're always looking at food as being something that you can't eat, like you're in food jail, I just don't think you're ever going to be successful. I think you have to look at it with enthusiasm. Here's what I do eat and here's what I don't eat now. This is who I am. I'm a person who does not eat French fries anymore. That's who I am. That's something to celebrate. Whereas if I'm a person that can't eat French fries anymore, there's nothing to celebrate about that. There's no victory in that. You're not overcoming anything with that. You're not empowered by that. You're not taking control of your life. There's no accountability there. And there's no success there. Your mind and your body and your spirit are always going to be struggling against the ties that restrict you, the things that you can't do. You're going to want to do them. The things you don't do, there's no struggle. There's no struggle over things you don't do anymore. You don't go down the sidewalk punching people in the face. You could. You don't do it because you can't do it. I think, there's a few people that are crazy and they don't punch people in the face every day because they don't want to go to prison. So it means they don't do it because they can't. But I'd say most of us walk down the sidewalk downtown and don't punch people in the face because we don't punch people in the face. It's not that we can't do it. We don't do it. It would negatively impact them and it would negatively impact us. So we make a decision, we don't do it. I don't punch people in the face as a matter of course. I don't eat French fries as a matter of course. I don't eat ice cream as a matter of course. You got to let the I can't go. You got to let the I can't go. And you got to replace it with I don't. You got to replace it with I do. I do hold myself accountable. I do understand that I'm addicted to sugar. I do understand that sugar is killing me. It is literally killing me. I do take accountability for that. Therefore, I don't eat sugar anymore. I don't eat biscuits anymore. I don't eat bread anymore. I don't eat pasta anymore. I don't drink Cokes anymore. I don't drink chocolate milk anymore. It's not that I can't, because surely I can. I hope that this has inspired you in some way. As I thought about doing this podcast, I reflected a lot about what tone I would take. And I hope that you understand that the tone that I've taken as I've spoken to you is the same tone I take with myself. This is me. Basically, this podcast is me talking to me. And I'm here to tell you something empowering, and I want you to believe me. I want you to believe me 110%, okay? You can lose weight. You can lose massive amounts of weight. And you can feel great about it. And you can eat in a way that's conducive to being a healthy person. You can do these things. The only thing stopping you from doing it is 1, knowledge, and 2, the decision to put that knowledge into effect. And I'm doing everything I can to supply you with the knowledge. That leaves one thing left, and that's something I can't do. I can't make you change it from I can't to I don't. I can't make that happen. I can't flip that switch for you. I can't flip the switch for you that you're an addict. I can't make you see that you are no different than a person addicted to cocaine. You act the same. You say the same things. You are destroying your life in very similar ways. And the answer to stopping it is the same. I can't make that happen inside your brain for you. You have to make that happen inside your brain. And I really want you to. I'm still overweight. I'm still overweight. I'm still an overweight person. I'm still very overweight. I still have significant weight to lose. But I have lost over 120 pounds. And I have zero doubt that I'll never be 400 pounds again. The only way I would ever be 400 pounds is if I decided tomorrow, you know what? I don't care if I'm 400 pounds. I want to be 400 pounds. Like, I would have to make that decision. Otherwise, I'm empowered with the way my body works and how I eat. And that I, like everybody else in the country, is addicted to sugar. And I don't want to be an addict anymore. I don't want to be a victim anymore. I don't want to be killing myself from the inside out anymore. And so I wake up every day not being that person. Not because I can't, but just because I don't. If I can help you, shoot me a message. Follow me on the social medias. All of them. Snapchat is my favorite. Feel free to message me on there. Follow my food and what I eat. You can follow me on all the others as well. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Fat Guy Podcast. And the best way to get this podcast and get the information and get the motivation and get the knowledge and get the real truth, not the BS that they give you out in medical world and weight loss world and nutritionist world and government regulations and recommendations world, is to get this podcast. It'll show right up on your device automatically. Download the Spreaker app, Spreaker. Download it. You can sign up for an account, which is free. I highly recommend, because it'll allow you to subscribe to my show and interact with it in just nifty ways. But even if you don't want to do that, just search for Fat Guy Podcast on there. Favorite it, follow it, get notified. And there's thousands of other podcasts on there that you may like as well. It's a great little nifty entertainment hub. Not just for me, but for other things. Okay, the last thing I would ask you to do is, if there's somebody that follows you on Facebook or follows you on Twitter, share this. If you have a friend that's a friend of yours on Facebook, needs to lose 50 pounds, or needs to lose 75 pounds, or 100 pounds, or 150 pounds, or 200 pounds, share this. You don't have to say anything to them. You don't have to go, oh, look, I know you're fat. Listen to what this guy has to say. You don't have to say anything to them. Just share it and let them find it. You don't have to say anything embarrassing to them. You don't have to have an uncomfortable conversation with your friend. Just share it and let them find it on their own, and let them understand that they can empower themselves. Thanks so much for listening to the podcast. I appreciate it. You guys have a fantastic day.